If you're thinking about rolling beads on sheet metal, you've probably already noticed how easy it is to buy the wrong machine. The specs look fine on paper, but when you actually need to make consistent beads on 20-gauge mild steel without fighting the tool every step of the way, that's where most budget rollers fall apart. I've spent enough time on forums and in garages to know that a lot of people end up with something that either can't handle the thickness they need or it takes forever to set up. The KAKA Industrial RM36 is one of the few that actually shows up ready to roll without a ton of extra parts or hidden costs. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. This isn't a machine you're going to use every single day unless you're running a small fabrication shop or restoring classic car bodies. But when you do need it, you need it to work the first time. The RM36 is built around a 36-inch throat, which means you can roll beads across wider panels without constantly repositioning the material. That alone saves a surprising amount of time when you're working on something like a vintage truck bed or a custom lid scoop. The welded steel frame and integrated stand give it a solid base that doesn't wobble under pressure, which is more important than you'd think when you're pushing 20-gauge steel through the rollers. The tool rack keeps the included inch-round bead set within reach, so you're not scrambling for the right roller every time you switch profiles. The variable speed foot pedal is where this machine actually stands out from the cheaper options. Most entry-level bead rollers force you to crank the speed manually or rely on a single fixed speed that either bogs down or throws the metal too fast. With the foot pedal, you can dial in the pressure as you feed the sheet through, which makes a huge difference when you're working with aluminum or thinner mild steel. I've seen people try to get away with using a Harbor Freight-style roller for the same job, and the difference in control is night and day. You still have to guide the metal evenly, but the pedal lets you adjust on the fly instead of fighting the machine. Now, let's talk about the limitations so you don't end up disappointed. This machine is rated for 20-gauge mild steel and 18-gauge aluminum, which covers a lot of hobbyist and small shop work, but if you're trying to roll heavier material, you'll hit its limit fast. The inch-round bead set is included, but that's just one profile. If you need different bead sizes, you'll have to buy additional rollers separately. That's not a deal breaker, but it's something to budget for if you're planning to expand beyond basic beads. Also, the freight delivery requires a phone call to schedule, which isn't a huge hassle, but it's one more step compared to something that ships straight to your door. Who should buy this? If you're a DIY fabricator, a classic car restorer, or a small shop that occasionally needs clean beads on thin material, this machine is a solid choice. It's not overbuilt for the occasional user, but it's not flimsy either. The setup is straightforward, and the foot pedal control makes it easier to produce consistent results without a steep learning curve. If you're already working with thicker material or need multiple bead profiles right away, you might want to look at something with a higher capacity or a more comprehensive roller set. Where does the value actually come from? It's not just in the included roller or the throat size, it's in the fact that you can start rolling immediately without buying extra stands, clamps, or speed controllers. The welded frame and integrated rack mean you're not piecing together a Frankenstein setup from separate parts. For the price, it's one of the few machines that doesn't nickel and dime you with mandatory accessories just to make it functional. If you're on the fence, ask yourself how often you'll realistically use a bead roller. If it's more than a few times a year, this is worth the investment. If you're only planning to use it once or twice, you might be better off renting or finding a local shop to do the work. Either way, the RM36 is a no-frills tool that does its job without unnecessary complications. Check the link in the description if you want to take a closer look at the specs and see if it fits your setup.